Hey guys, Phil Smy here. Today, stop thinking about languages, start thinking about frameworks. You know, I must think it's human nature that we get kind of wrapped up in things. You know, like as I can show, I've got a lot of guitars. And, you know, as a guitar player, if you go on the guitar forums, people are always talking about what guitar should I get, you know, to sound more like such and such a person. But the truth is that only about 50% of it, not even, 20% of it is the guitar. The rest is how you're playing, what you're playing, your hands. Man, the sound is in your hands. And as developers, don't leave. We're going to talk about development now. As developers, we kind of do the same thing about programming languages. Never, and I've been in this business a long time, 25 plus years really, writing software. God, 30 years actually, probably writing software. Never has anyone, any customer, ever said, what language was this written in? You know, no one's ever bought something just because it was written in C++ or whatever. So the language is not so important. You can do the same thing in pretty much every language. You can do whatever you can do in functionally, you know. So whatever you can do in Python, you can do in BASIC or Fortran, or, you know, which are languages, you know, that the dinosaurs used to use. So you don't have to think about the language. But what is important is the framework. And again, not from a customer. No customer has ever said, you know, what framework did you use to write this in? But frameworks are where you get the boost. And as cool as BASIC or Pascal or whatever it was back in the day, we didn't have these frameworks that let us develop quickly. And that's what a framework is. So a framework is something that is written in the underlying language that gives you access to kind of pre-built functionality and covers a lot of stuff that you're already going to have to do. For instance, we always talk about web frameworks. If you look at something like Ruby on Rails, which is an application framework, which is what I happen to use, and I'll probably do a bunch of videos about Rails, but, you know, things like that. Or if you're in Java and you have things like Spring and Struts and Hibernate that do access for storing and retrieving data, you know, or if you're in C++, you have an amazing framework called Qt that lets you do cross-platform application development, which, as an aside, why is that so incredible? I mean, it's because the underlying architecture is so different. It's kind of bizarre that we tout this thing that is, for me, should just be obvious. Things shouldn't be platform dependent. Anyway, so you have Qt on C++. On Python, you have things like Django, you know, Flask, this stuff like this. So there's lots of frameworks out there. And you can pick a language, but and it doesn't really matter. But what you should be doing is looking at what frameworks are in each language. And eventually you're going to have to specialize as a developer, really. Like I've specialized, let's say, in Ruby on Rails, or that ecosystem there of developing applications, full stack applications that kind of run within the Ruby on Rails environment. You're going to have to pick something. You know, maybe it's Django, or maybe it's Java with Spring, or whatever it is. You know, you're going to have to pick a framework and become expert in that. But you should go out and investigate what other frameworks are there, just so you can have a conversation with people. So stop. This is going to be just a short video because I just want people, I just kind of want to stop the conversation about languages. Because you can go on these, you know, web job websites and they're going to look for a C++ developer. But if you actually read the requirements, they don't just want a C++ developer unless they're doing something very low level. They want somebody who's familiar with this framework. So that's all I wanted to do, is talk quickly about frameworks, make you aware. I'm sure you're aware that frameworks exist, but I want you to focus more on frameworks than on language. The underlying language, it's just a thing you learn. It shouldn't take you very long to learn a language, but the framework is where the real, a framework is where the real power is. And that's the thing that's going to boost you up and make you be able to, or help you be able to create great products using whatever language it is you decide. Hope this helps. See you soon.